I know some of you girls are thinking, we're not even married. Why are you teaching us the pros and cons of being a keeper at home? Now, I do have an entire video dedicated to tips for living on a singles income and the question of singleness and the single woman in the Bible. And those are so important for you right now. But as I was praying and asking the Lord what I should bring and what I should teach, I felt led back to the Bible, Titus 2. The older women are to teach the younger women to love and obey their husbands, love their children, be discreet and chaste and keepers at home. But I know this is a tender subject for a lot of people because so many young women have the heart of, Lord willing, I would love to be a keeper at home. But I just don't see that right now. But these pros and cons are just practical biblical living and ways that you can grow in your spiritual walk with the Lord and can affect you in so many ways today, but certainly will help you as you guide a home. But let's set some groundwork. I was talking with my husband about this video and the question of what is a keeper at home and to whom does it apply? And the conclusion that we came to was, as we read the scripture, all young women are to learn these truths. But if you have a husband, love and obey your husband. If you have children, love your children. All women should be discreet and chaste. And if you have a home to guide, be a keeper at home. The Websters 1828 dictionary defines a keeper as one who has the custody or care of something. And this embodies the feeling that this is your responsibility. The home is under your care. And while it's not popular, the phrase, her husband helped her out around the house, is actually a biblical viewpoint. And co-sharing responsibilities around the house is not a biblical viewpoint. Because scripturally, the responsibility lies in the God-given role of the keeper at home. Now, I'm not sure your background, but I looked at many different versions of the Bible. Now, I am a King James Bible believer, but I know that many people don't use the King James. And if you are familiar with the evidence of the different versions, the King James Bible is the only Bible that comes from the Textus Receptus manuscripts, and all of the other versions of the Bible come from the Alexandrian manuscripts. And if you have any questions about that, there's a great video series called Big Deal KJV. But in case you come from a different background, I just want you to understand that the two different manuscripts lines, they differ on this topic. The King James and the Textus Receptus say a keeper at home, whereas about 8 other different versions use the word working at home or working from home or working in the home. And that entails an idea of being a laborer. It doesn't hold to the idea that the responsibility and the caretaking and the superintendence of the home is the role of the woman. And if you are convinced to use the Alexandrian manuscripts, then co-sharing responsibilities at the home could absolutely be biblical because you're both working and you're both working at home. You're not refusing to do chores and housekeeping and cooking. You're not refusing it. You're just not taking responsibility for it. But as I believe the evidence supports the King James, I'm going to use that definition. It is your responsibility. It is your domain. You have the superintendence to keep and guide it at home. The first positive of being a keeper at home is the fact that you have more time to get everything done. As you look at managing a home and the time that it takes for meal preparation, meal planning, cooking, cleaning, teaching your children, if you have some, to work and do those jobs, laundry, home and yard maintenance, possibly homeschooling. When I was first married, I found that it probably took me about 15 to 20 hours a week just to do that. That is a part-time job. But as my family has grown and I had children and nursing babies and now I'm homeschooling, I find that those responsibilities take me about 30 to 35 hours a week. And I can only imagine how draining it would be to go out and be working several hours a day and then come home, make dinner, start the laundry, help with homework. And I see how wise God was to look at the responsibilities of just living and saying, you know what, no one person can do everything. But the second positive of being a keeper at home is your relationship with your husband. As I mentioned before, it can be quite a bit of work. But when we are able to manage our own time and be our own boss, we're able to set a shut-off time and say, you know what, I'm going to manage it to where I get done by dinner, and then when my husband comes home, I can fulfill that biblical role of the helpmeet. We were created to be his helpmeet. All throughout Scripture you see that the woman was created for the man and not the man for the woman. 1 Corinthians 7 we see that it says, a woman who is married, she cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And in Ephesians 5 we see that the husband is the head of the wife and Christ is the head of the husband, and he is to be the leader of the home. The Lord will lead him and the direction of your home through him. And while we have so much liberty in our own domain and our own responsibility at home, ultimately, once we make that commitment to be married for life as a helpmeet, we are to mold to him. If the Lord calls your husband to be a missionary, learn how to be the best missionary wife possible. If the Lord leads your husband to being a layman in the church, and maybe he works swing shift, then be the best keeper at home who can adapt to those irregular schedules. And as a keeper at home, we have the freedom and the responsibility to learn and grow and be creative as we are a helpmeet to our husbands. The third positive of being a keeper at home is the opportunity to be an independent, lifelong learner. Since I have been married, I have done so many things that I had never imagined I would do. I've made 3 CDs, I've written a book, I'm writing another book, I have this ministry, but also I've learned graphic design, web design, video editing. I've learned a tremendous amount of world history. I've been able to grow my skills in the area of music and music history, but I've also learned painting and gardening. There's so many things you can learn and do and grow because you have that freedom within the responsibilities of your domain and being the manager of your own time and the guide of your home. The next positive is your health. If you look at the statistics around America, there's an overwhelming amount of anxiety, depression, adrenal fatigue, stress-related heart issues, and I wholeheartedly believe that it's because we, including myself, try to do more than our bodies physically can handle. When God says that the husband is to honor the wife as a weaker vessel, yes, that does mean spiritually in the element that we're more easily deceived, but physically, we're just not built to maintain the physical and emotional stress that God designed men with, to bear the yoke and labor and physical burdens that they carry. We have the privilege of setting our own schedule, being able to focus on our nutrition and our sleep and our rest. But again, that's up to us. That's our responsibility to measure those needs and be diligent in the stewardship of our home and time and body. The next positive is that we do have more time for our family. When we aren't overburdened with the responsibilities of the home and outside of the home commitments, we have the time to get everything done and then shut down in the evenings and have the time to focus on the family that God has given us. But if we're running around like a chicken with its head cut off because we have too much to do and too much to get done, we lose and miss out on the privilege of spending time with the people we love most. And the last positive, in regards to the privilege of spending time with the ones we love most, I am so thankful that I have been able to spend time with the Lord in prayer and Bible reading in a more leisurely way than I ever thought was imaginable. I talk about this in my videos on my daily prayer routine and my daily devotional routine, but I just can't tell you what a privilege. I know I keep using that word, but what a privilege to be the manager of your own time and the manager of your own household, to set the priorities of how you will run things in the little business that is your home. And you truly can put the Lord first. And I can tell you from experience that everything else is better for it. You get more done than you think you could. You have more peace and joy than you thought you would. But I'm going to tell you this, if you don't make that a priority, the cons of being a keeper at home are going to get you.